Welcome to NHA Today, where we explore the path to lasting health and fulfillment through a whole food, plant-based lifestyle. Each week, we bring you real conversations with doctors, health experts, and everyday individuals who have transformed their lives through food, mindset, and community. This is NHA Today, powered by the National Health Association.
Hello and welcome. You've landed on maybe our favorite episode of NHA Today. And my name is Justin Williams.
And I'm Stephanie Williams.
And we are lifetime members of the NHA. And we are part of the 2026 virtual conference team for the NHA conference, which is the last week in June 2026. So come check us out. We'd love to meet you in person or virtually.
So today we're going to be talking with Michelle Sen. Michelle is one of our favorite people in the entire world. She's also part of the virtual conference team every year. That's how we met Michelle and hung out with her through the NHA conference.
We love her.
She's wonderful. And Michelle is, for a young person, she's very accomplished. She has worked for the True North Health Center. She is part of the team at Viva Longevity on YouTube. And she is also very much an inspiration to people living a whole food, plant-based lifestyle. Michelle is a health coach, and she has a ton to offer, in addition to just being an old soul and very wise for how young she is. We talked to Michelle about what it's like to be a young person in the whole food, plant-based world, how we can incorporate more young people into this movement, and how to just promote health in our world.
Before we get to the interview, we just want to remind you, if you could please like, subscribe, share this episode with a friend, and don't forget to rate us on your podcast platform of choice. It really just helps the show and helps us kind of get out there and grow our audience. So thank you very much. And with that, I guess we'll get to our conversation with Michelle. Enjoy. Michelle Sen, welcome to NHA Today. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Steph and Justin. Thank you so much for having me on here. I'm so happy to share today my story with all of you. Part of the reason most of us are in the NHA is for community, right? Like to meet other people who make us feel less like the weirdo in the family or our immediate circles. And truly, like, having both of you in the NHA is just a blessing, not just for me, but for like everybody in it.
Oh, well, we feel the same about you, lady. Your energy is infectious. We think that people are really going to benefit from hearing your story. You have, you're so inspirational, the things that you do, and just, what you have to offer and what you regularly offer people. So we're grateful for you too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We can save like the love fest for the end, but I think the world of both of you.
Yeah. So let's jump in. So can you, Michelle, how'd you start this crazy journey? How'd you come to the whole food, plant-based world? And you're pretty young. So, I think Justin and I did not come to this world till much later than you. So we're always interested to hear, about how someone your age got here.
Yeah. I mean, I also consider it such a privilege to have discovered the world relatively early. I mean, it's never too late to start. And for me, I grew up, my parents are from China, but I was born here, and I grew up eating the standard American diet. So I would have like pizza and Doritos and for every single lunch growing up. Junk food heaven, of course. And it was only when I was 18 in college that I discovered this diet. And it's such a funny story, but I was actually in my freshman year of university, and the person living across from me, on his bookshelf, I saw one book on there. On the spine, it said How Not to Die. And I saw that title and I was like, that's very provocative. And so I was curious. I read the book, and I was kind of floored because, I mean, I'd heard about these, like, a lot of my friends are vegetarian, but I kind of made fun of them for it. I was like, haha, all you do is eat lettuce. And, I was very snobby about it. And And when I saw this book, I read it, I was like, dang, there's actually a lot of research studies that say it's pretty healthy to be vegan. And not only vegan, but like not eat oil or like add salt to your food. Like that kind of like was a brain. I don't know if I can curse on here, but it was like, a mind something. And I was like, whoa. And I just totally it was a paradigm shift. And so first I went like pescatarian a bit, just like test the waters, and then I didn't die. So I'm like, okay, maybe I can do this. So then I went vegan. And I'm very lucky that where I went has like Stanford has like the number one by PETA rated the number one vegan dining hall in the whole US. So
Oh, nice.
in all the dining halls, I had options I could eat. It wasn't just like tofu every day. And even now, when I visit the dining halls, they literally have fake chicken, fake beef, fake pork there. Like
Wow.
what? It's so crazy. Um, so yeah, I just consider it like a perfect storm that I was exposed to this book and also had friends who were many friends who are vegetarian, and it I mean, you know, my family gave me a lot of pushback when I first went vegan, but now they eat more plant-based too, and I feel very, very happy because of it.
Mm. And was the person who had the book, were they whole food, plant-based, or
Mm.
vegan?
No, not at all. And that's like the most yeah, I've thought about this before. It's kind of interesting how we never know what kind of influence we'll have on people.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe I've accidentally influenced some people to become carnivore. I don't know, but like I mean this person, they were eating just like an omnivorous diet, but they're also like very into science, so they have this book and yeah, I'm just always grateful for it.
Wow. That's so interesting.
Hmm.
Really interesting. And so with your family,
Hmm.
um, did they, you said that they kind of gave you pushback at first. Were they willing to cook meals that you could eat, or were they kind of like, if you're going to eat like this, you're on your own?
Um, I I kind of recognized very early on that if they weren't eating similarly to me, it would always be an uphill battle. And I didn't want
Mm.
that, especially because I also primarily had switched to this diet for health. And I kind of was like, wait, I need to get them on board too.
Yeah.
So I think I was actually a little bit too pushy in that like I like shoved the book down their throats and was like, we need to cut out the oil, we need to do this. I was a bit obnoxious about it. And I actually what I did was I looked up vegan meetup groups in the area because I wanted to show my parents that, look, it's not just me. I'm not the only like cult member. Like there are other people who do this too. So I would bring them to these vegan meetups, and I'm still friends with many of the people I met there. Uh, they actually, where I am in the South Bay, there's a meetup group. It's called Silicon Valley Healthy Bites, and the bites is spelled Bytes because we're all like computer geeks here. And they actually originated from a Plant Pure pod back when like Plant Pure
Oh,
Nation, that documentary was big. So everyone there was like SOS free and whole food plant-based. So I could bring my parents and we met like 20, 30 other people eating this way. It was so great. We learned recipes, found community, and I think that really helped open their eyes to how this could be a really healthy way of living.
wow.
It must have been so affirming. Like really, they're like, oh, our 18-year-old daughter doesn't know what she's talking about. But then to like meet other people in the community and
Yeah.
be like, oh, okay, well, this is a real thing. It must have been so like, I don't know. It must have been helpful.
Yeah, oh, for sure. I mean, I remember when I first told them I'm going vegan, one of them showed me a statistic that like less than 1% of Americans are vegan, and this is such a horrible thing to do to yourself. And now I'm just, I'm proud to be part of the like the 1%, We want to be different because as we know, there's this quote that it's no measure of healthiness to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. And we can agree that the average American, at least, is not necessarily the most healthy. So why do we want to be normal?
Mhm.
Yeah. That's such a good way to put it. And did your family, did your parents see some positive changes in their health from going more plant-based?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I don't want to get too much in detail about it because I don't know what they would want me to talk about,
Sure.
but they definitely saw improvements in their blood work, and I think that's helped also keep them eating the more plant-based path.
That's awesome.
If I could rewind real quick, like you went from a sad diet. Well,
Hmm.
you did the pescatarian and everything. Like, how
Hmm.
did you feel? Like, just kind of like in the switch, like
Yes,
how what like how what notices what changes did you notice?
that is such a great question. So I think I experienced like the stereotypical changes you hear everyone else talk about, like the, well, more energy, that was great. Decreased brain fog. I felt like my skin improved. Um, I just I just felt like meat and dairy products were always very heavy on me, and especially the oil. Getting rid of that, I think, I mean, it just really made me feel more like a well-oiled machine in a way. And just to provide some further context, when I was in high school, so this was like before discovering veganism, I went through treatment for an eating disorder, anorexia. And as part of that treatment, they push on you a very heavy dairy and meat diet. So I remember I was told, first of all, I was told you can't drink water. You can only drink like things with calories, like whole milk or, juice or soda. And I was basically having to eat meat like 3 times a day and just have a very, very heavy animal product diet. And
Mm,
the consequences of that were immense. Like, sure, it could force me to like gain weight, but it was also just I remember just feeling really weighed down and like my skin broke out. I just felt really awful all the time. So it was very empowering for me to find a diet that I think it actually made me feel like I had more autonomy and more in control.
mm,
And it also allowed me to maintain a healthy weight at the same time because I think there was also this fear that like, oh, like going on this way, you're gonna lose weight again. But actually, I found that I was able to more easily maintain a healthy weight for me. I think also just because like my digestion improved in general. And I was also dealing with a lot of like allergies before that, and I've heard this from other people too, that when I stopped dairy, it just like made a lot of those, congestion and other issues just go away. It was magical. Yeah.
Hmm.
mm. Wow. And congratulations on, maintaining health. An eating disorder is difficult. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Hmm.
And congratulations on maintaining your health and finding, a path that worked for you. Um, in that way too, because that's a lot to try to manage. So
Yeah,
good for
thank
you.
you. Yeah,
Hmm.
thank you. It's especially can be hard to manage because we know that even just plain old vegans can be accused of like orthorexia or other things.
Yep.
Yeah, so um and I do think honestly that the whole food plant-based space attracts a lot of people who have these kinds of backgrounds, to be honest, because this way of eating is kind of different, and a lot of people do come to this way of eating because they want to achieve weight loss.
Hmm.
So I think we always need to be mindful of like, yeah, everybody probably has some level of like body dysmorphia or like food hangups, psychological issues going on. So we always need to be very, very attentive to it.
Mm. Yeah, I was gonna ask you because I know for me at times like I've become very, very focused on what I'm eating and like getting it exactly right.
Hmm.
And kind of hyper focused a bit. Did you find that when you started this way of eating that you had to be careful around that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really great you bring this up. I think growing up, I've always leaned toward like, I'm not totally OCD, but I have some like OCD tendencies, and I think they do manifest more around food. So when I first learned about like the SOS free way of eating, I think I was like very black and white about it. As in, I can't eat anything that has like a grain of salt on it, I was very, very stringent on that to the point where I think it was more deleterious for my health because at social events I would be, worrying so much about the food. Um, and I really like this quote that we should eat to live, not live to eat.
Mm,
And I try to remind myself that food is like the fuel for my body to run, and it's not like something that I should be revolving my life around. Really, the food is just an afterthought. The whole point of an event is to like connect with people or be able to like do the things I want to do. Um, so I did have to overcome some more like restrictive mindsets at first when it came to being like whole food plant-based. And I finally right now come to a more point of like, hey, like going out on social events with friends, I'm not gonna if something's not compliant, I'm not gonna like, you know, like have a fit over it in my head or anything. And I can still have like a little bit of it, like a little bit won't kill me. So yeah.
Yeah, I thank you for sharing that. I think that that makes a lot of sense, and I love the the quote that you just gave, because that is part of it too. Like food can really run our lives if we let it, and it's supposed to just be the fuel to help us feel our best. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, love that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And so we talked about how you're pretty young in this
Mm-hmm.
space.
Yeah.
So how has that been for you being a young person in not just vegan, because I think that's
Right.
probably catching on more in young people. And even when we were young, there were a lot of people who were vegan, but I would
Mm-hmm.
imagine that whole food plant-based is kind of like another level of trying to figure out how to connect it with people.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. It's, I'm a bit tired of being the youngest person in the room, to be honest. It's a little, um, but like most people who are my friends in this field tend to be, at least a few decades older than me. And I've come to see it as such a gift because they just have so much more wisdom and experience to share. And being the youngest person, I guess it's always given me a sort of chip on my shoulder because I always feel like, oh, I have stuff I want to share, but also I know what I look like and I don't know if I'll be heard. And I think that's part of why, that being part of the NHA has been so amazing because, Wanda and both of you and have just been, tremendous in terms of just supporting different generations and wanting all of us to uplift each other. I think that's something so beautiful. And I truly hope that, the younger people ahead of me who will eventually become whole food plant-based won't feel as alone as I have in terms of thinking that like, oh, I'm the only one in my peer group who lives this way. Because I still feel that way, to be honest, and that's part of why organizations like the NHA and friendships with people like you are such a lifeline to me.
Mm, hmm. Ditto, lady, ditto. And what do you think the whole food plant-based kind of movement and community can do to attract younger people or to get this information to younger people earlier?
Yeah, that's $1 million question. I mean, I think about so I work for a YouTube channel called Viva Longevity, and my boss Chris, who founded the channel, he used to work with Steve Jobs, and so he would talk about like the Apple versus PC commercials, like the Mac versus PC commercials. I don't know if you remember them, but they they show like a really stylish, trendy guy who uses a Mac next to like a very stodgy, like not in shape person using a PC, and it just like make fun of PC users. Um, I and Chris would tell me how, these commercials succeeded at making Apple products cool, like the cool ones to use, and PC products were seen as less cool because of them. And I think about how like young people just really want to be cool because we're not old enough to realize that like, hey, it doesn't matter what the world thinks of us. Everyone's too busy thinking about themselves, blah, blah. Like young people just want to be, I think we're naturally very, very insecure and we're looking to be seen as like top dog. Um, so I think a way to make the whole food plant-based movement appeal to young people is to make it look aspirational. Like I look at people like celebrities like Billie Eilish, a singer who's totally vegan and all her concerts are vegan. It's not quite all the way to whole food plant-based, but I think when like celebrities go vegan, that is really motivational to young people. Now if we could get celebrities to go whole food plant-based, that would be even cooler. And as we know, the problem is that young people most of them aren't old enough to have like the chronic diseases that motivate older people to go whole food plant-based. Um, so I don't think we can win on that front. I don't think we can win them by telling them like, hey, in a few decades you might have a heart attack. They'll be like, who cares? But we can win by telling them like, hey, when you eat whole food plant-based, you're actually like the raddest person in the room. Like that would be really awesome. I think uh, if we can make if we can make eating meat and drinking dairy seem like disgusting, like actually like backwards, and eating like plant-based foods seem really like elevated and refined and like better. I just like sophisticated. That would be really game changing. Speaking of the word game changing, it reminds me of, the documentary Game Changers. I think that had a huge effect because it showed so many athletes being plant-based. And I mean, I've shown that to countless friends and they're all like, dang, like they want to be like those athletes. So it naturally motivates them to go more plant-based too.
Mm. I think those are really great points, and I love the idea of whole food plant-based being cool. We got to figure out how to make that happen.
Yeah, because it is cool. Like
It
to
is.
me, this has never made sense to me why I mean, for example, things like alcohol was like that's the cool thing. I'm like, no, why is it cool to get like forget your memories and get blackout drunk and vomit in front of your friends? Like that's not really cool.
Right. That's such a good point. Such a good point.
It's just yeah, it's like that. It's kind of like you just have to overcome the stigma of like the importance of nutrition, I guess. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know why that's a stigma, but we're gonna figure it out today. All
We
of it right
will. Today, this meeting, we're solving we're solving all world problems. Yeah.
But I think I would tell people too, like, I mean, I grew up well, I guess, after I grew up, I don't know, in college. I mean, the college experience, you know, it's like you're in college full time. If you're lucky enough to like have a job during that time, like you're losing out to, whatever you're losing out on your academic time.
Hmm.
And I would just tell people like, this may be less convenient, but it'll save you money in the long run too.
Hmm.
If you can do it the right way.
Yeah, yeah. In college after I became vegan, I kind of became like obsessed with wanting to make the world vegan. So I became involved as a research assistant in the dining halls because believe it or not, Stanford runs their dining halls like living laboratories. They're always doing research on students trying to figure things out. Um, and they would do things already like in the dining hall, they would put the salads and vegetables nearer to the beginning of like where people enter so that they load up their plate with that first, and then they put all like the meats and processed food in the back so that, they don't fill it up with their plates first. I thought that was really cool. And I
Mm,
also asked my advisor at that point, like, why can't we have like, we have like 20 dining halls on campus. Can we just have one dining hall which is like at least a vegetarian? Like that's the one. And she told me, I'm sorry, but we have to follow consumer demand, and nobody demands that. Which was a bit, discouraging to me. But the whole point of this is that after going vegan, I joined that dining hall research team. I I actually self-designed a class studying like food systems, and I remember writing a whole essay about like whole food plant-based and like how we need to make this the thing. And I actually even took time off college. I actually thought I would never come back to college, but I took time off halfway through because I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life and career. And I went off and worked on a bunch of like vegan farms in Hawaii and got a lot of like experiences from that, just like directly growing food that's vegan, and living like a totally vegan lifestyle. That was just incredible and insane and like the best choice I ever made in my life.
Wow.
whoa, yeah. Yeah, I can't dispute that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've just always been very stubborn as a person. And ever since my like quote unquote vegan awakening when I was 18, I just haven't really been able to shut up about it. I think that's also why my professional career took this turn where after I graduated, I did what everybody else does in this area, which is work in tech. And I was just like, this is not the thing for me. Like this is so not filling my cup. And eventually I ended up working at True North Health Center actually, which was just heaven. And now working on this YouTube channel to spread more plant-based eating to the world, it just makes me so, so happy. And all my endeavors sort of revolve around a broader theme of wanting to promote longevity, but like anchored on veganism.
And uh I'm sure the majority of people who listen or watch this episode are going to know what True North is, but can
Mhm.
you talk to us a little bit about what it is and what you did there?
Yes,
For anyone who might not know.
of course. So True North Health Center was started by Dr. Alan Goldhammer, who's like one of like the vegan OG doctors, way back like over 40 years ago. And it primarily it's the biggest medically supervised water only fasting center in the world. So they can have like about 100 patients and generally treat people by, removing all the food from their lives and just giving them water, which sounds insane because it is, but people actually also have like insane results from it. We see like tumors shrink. There's a lady who got her eyesight back because she had diabetic retinopathy, and after fasting that got resolved. Every day there, I would see all these miracles, and the doctors are so used to it, they just like shrug at it. But like mere mortals like me, we'd be like, "This is intense. Like this is different. Something's happening." Um, and of course, the cornerstone of True North is that they're dedicated to whole food, plant-based, SOS-free living. So their dining hall is completely that way. And it was such a privilege every day to sit with people at meal times and, see them enjoy this food and how flavorful it is, especially after doing a fast. Like, they're not craving McDonald's anymore. So that was really awesome. My job there when I first started was as the medical concierge. So I would basically be the person to like welcome people, give them the tour, I would schedule appointments for them, and be like the in between the doctors and patients to resolve any communications. And eventually I became a health coach there as well, which was very, again, also a huge privilege as well. I was able to lecture there, and I I mean that place was also just another like one of those like life-changing decisions to work there, and I think every day of how lucky I was to be in that kind of environment.
Wow. Yeah. I cannot even imagine. That must have been, yeah, life changing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for sure. And so much, so much knowledge and so many skills to gain to bring with you to all the other things that end up doing moving forward. That's really fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
And also shout out to True North and Dr. Goldhammer's construction worker story. If you haven't heard it, like you should definitely look it up. And I think Michelle may have heard it.
Too
You
many
might have,
times? Oh my God. Okay. Okay. I love Dr. Goldhammer, but like at this point, he's told that story so many times that I think even Chef Bravo, when he starts to hear it, he like dies inside. He's like, "This is the thousandth time." Like, like, but it's a great story. It's a great story. Even when he told it at the NHA conference, I was inside. I was just like, "I'm dying a slow death," but like, it's okay.
but like the way he tells it, it's just so hypnotic. I
He's
think
really
we've seen
good.
it
He
three or
has the
four
like
times.
he has like all the gestures like down. It's just like,
Yes,
yeah,
I feel like you can't be in the whole food plant-based world without knowing that story.
yeah, yeah.
That's how we make whole food plant-based cool in everybody's eyes. We need to start
Actually, though, yeah, yeah, actually, so true.
distributing that story with Alan telling
Yes,
it.
it has to be him. Yes.
Yes, for sure.
But you can tell we had fun together working on that conference. Just so cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
But I guess well, you spoke a little bit about athletics and
Hmm.
athletes.
Uh-huh.
Um, why don't we talk about your athletic exploits?
Hobbies. Oh, it's so funny. So growing up, I was always like I consider myself fairly sedentary and couch potato. Um I think I was actually kind of scared from doing athletics because I mentioned to you in high school I was anorexic, and it all started when I joined the cross country team, like the long distance running team, which is quite infamous for like causing eating disorders. So after that, and my doctors were like, you need to quit this, I quit that, and I was just like, I probably shouldn't be doing exercise. I guess I'm not cut out for that. So um, I think. I've always enjoyed going to the gym though, and maybe it was actually during COVID, like 2020, when, we're all in like lockdown and we're all just in like inner rooms. Where I just actually my friend was interviewing me and he asked me like what are your like goals in life? And I told him, "Oh, one goal is to, spread plant-based living to the world. I've always wanted to do that." And to do that professionally would be like really stinking cool. And then I said my second goal, like my dream, I said would be, oh, it'd be so cool if I could do like gymnastics, but like I'm 21 right now, it's too late for me. So,
Mm.
but the thing is, I was still like stuck in my brain, and during the pandemic, we're all like shut down. So, um, and there was never a gym close enough to me to do those kinds of things, but now gyms are offering classes online. So I started doing online classes and like flexibility, and that's when I finally got the splits. Um, and I'm not naturally flexible. Like literally, I just had to work really, really hard to get them when I was like an adult. And then I took these other classes, and then eventually, when things were opening again, I could go in person to do more of those things. And I love this musician named Lindsay Sterling. She does like violin and yeah, and pop while dancing. And I went to one of her concerts, and she was like on this like it looked like a hula hoop like in the air, and she was spinning on it while playing the violin. And I saw that, and I was like, I want to do that. That looks so cool. So then I signed up for classes in that. And I started posting things on. I'm actually like a very like surprisingly a very private person, but the reason I started posting videos online was because I kind of recognized that like this stuff is kind of unusual, and I want to show how vegans don't need to conform to this like stereotype of being like weak and sickly or something. And just like growing up, I've been told um more times than I can imagine someone telling me, "Oh, you're like a lot stronger than you look." And that would always like it's a compliment, but also I realize that like, hey, unless I show them what I can do, they're not gonna know, and they're just gonna assume I'm just like because I'm vegan, I'm like this, or like I don't know. I just want to like beat those kinds of stereotypes and also help give veganism a better name. So that's why I started putting things online, and um, I yeah, it's just a very fun community to be a part of. The whole like circus, aerials, acrobatics, partner acrobatics, all that kind of stuff. It's if you think I'm crazy, those people are crazier. The people who do that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think you need a few screws loose to want to do it.
Oh my God, it's so cool though. It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's
I,
just, it's amazing. It's
I,
just,
Yeah.
I'm glad you think that way. And
I'm a total
actually,
fangirl.
I'm so glad you feel that way. We should definitely do partner acrobatics sometime, by the way. It's so fun. You don't need any experience. Like
Uh,
us. Yeah, us in a room. But also I feel lucky that through my pursuit of a healthier lifestyle, I've made many friends who are also more athletic. So I have some friends right now who they run marathons and they do triathlons, and they also do this kind of new competition called High Rocks, which is like 10 different functional exercises um plus running, which are supposed to be aimed at like doing stuff that promotes longevity. For example, one of the exercises in the competition is the farmer's carry. That's where you're holding like two dumbbells and you're walking back and forth. It kind of mimics like carrying grocery bags, down an aisle. And these are just movements that we need for life. And we need strength for life. Um, and I'm so grateful that I have these like older people in my life, especially older ladies, who always remind me that you need your strength. Like you need to be strong. You need strong bones. And yeah, I'm inspired by all these like totally awesome women and men who are just so, so strong and vegan. And it shows me that you can do anything. And especially if you're vegan, you can pretty much do everything. So, yeah.
Wow. And I love that you find a way to put your advocacy for a plant-based life into your
Mhm.
hobbies, even. You're like, I don't just enjoy this, I want to advocate for,
Yes.
health and plant-based living by
Ab-
showing people what I'm doing, even though it's not easy for you and you're a private person. I think that's
yeah.
really awesome. So it all becomes part of your purpose, and you're
Yeah.
enjoying yourself, and you're showing people that there are so many options out there, which is really cool.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And uh, yeah, if I didn't have a message to share, I wouldn't be posting anything online. Like it's all just like because of veganism, really.
Yeah.
I feel like there's there's so many upsides and downsides to social media and the online world, but no matter what, it's gonna be there. You know, if I wasn't posting something, people's eyeballs would be on something else instead, and they probably wouldn't be promoting plant-based stuff. So might as well just throw my hat in the ring and do something. And end of the day, it always makes me smile to know that people can see that you don't have to have like an athletic background or be this or that. Just to, like go out there and do stuff you enjoy. You know?
Totally.
It's really shows too like the butterfly effect of like that one person having a copy of How Not to Die, and it could inspire somebody stumbling upon one of your videos to just be like,
Yeah.
oh, what is that? Like it ignites that spark, and
Mhm.
Yeah.
like you don't
Yeah.
know how it would affect people if you put good out there, and you're
Mm-hmm.
saying like this is how I do this. That's
Yes.
amazing.
Yes. And this is part of why I think I'm such a strong like public advocate for plant-based living is because I think back in, ripple effects. If Michael Greger, Dr. Michael Greger, hadn't even written that book and hadn't even promoted it, it wouldn't have ended up on my friend's bookshelf. Chef AJ was also very, very instrumental to me because actually, when I was like, I like in college, I also had a really bad anorexia relapse, and on her show, she was interviewing Dr. Doug Lisle, who's a psychologist, about it. And at some point, he mentioned this person who's really good at treating anorexia. So because I heard that episode, I was able to like, learn about this other person's work and also, heal myself again from that. So people like Chef AJ, Dr. Michael Greger, people like you, like people who are so publicly just vocal about healthy living are part of what empowered me to become less shy. Because again, I'm a very, very like I don't like cameras, I don't like talking, well, like shockingly, but in a way, having this message to share with the world has really brought me more out of my shell. So it's just helped me in so many ways, and I just someone was even asking me yesterday when I told him I'd be on this podcast. He was like, are you like all in on a media career? And when I first heard that, I just thought to myself, like, oh, that sounds kind of icky. Like, I don't want to be like an influencer. That's so gross. There's so many gross connotations. Uh, but like, I guess it's true. I guess I'm on YouTube and I do these things, and hey, it's not the messages I'm preaching are in my opinion quite quite positive for the world. So I no, I shouldn't be ashamed. So I am happy to that I can have a voice on media and leverage it for good. And most importantly, the purpose of our YouTube channel and the purpose of this podcast is to empower other people and their voices. Like find other people and help them share their stories with the world. So that's even better. I love the most putting other people in the spotlight, which is why I just love interviewing people and being like, "Hey, world, look at this person. They're so cool. Find out more about them."
Hmm. Wow. And speaking of interviewing, uh, can you tell us a little bit more about Viva Longevity and kind of what you do there?
Yeah. So, being a YouTuber was not on my bucket list. Like, it was not like anywhere remotely in like my thought of this can be a career. Like, what? Um, it was so accidental. Like, what happened was Chris, who made the channel, Chris McCaskill, this is his retirement hobby, and so he interviewed me for it something like 2 years ago, and we just continued to collaborate since then. And one day I told Chris, "Hey, I'm enjoying this work like more than the other stuff I'm doing. Can I just like can you pay me for this? Can we just do this more?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." So that just worked out very nicely. Let's like side hobby turned more full-time thing, and it's just been such a wonderful roller coaster ride. What we do at Viva Longevity is we especially like to find doctors and researchers who are like a little less known and help them tell their stories. So many of the people we interview, nobody's heard of before, but they're really good at science. And Here's a thing, which is that a lot of really, really good scientists and researchers are not great communicators. Like they're
Hmm.
so brilliant that they have a hard time sharing their findings with the world because honestly they're just like too smart for us, you know, as normal people. So in the channel we work really hard to, do good interviews with them and also communicate the concepts in a way that's more digestible to the public and also like have humor and entertainment and poop jokes and whatever in there. So so that's really what we do and it's been again, I did not see this coming, but it's been such a great experience. We've gone to so many conferences, we've met so many people around the US who are just doing such brilliant things and even some of the people we interview, we've helped get them like donations to their labs and their research. So that's all has been just an amazing experience. And most of all, you know, it's like the community of people who have reached out to us online and become friends is crazy. And I just have to say, people who are plant-based tend to be nicer, I think. I've told you guys before I went to this like low carb carnivore kind of conference before. And there's amazing people there, but I think there's just a higher percentage of people who tend to be a little more like, I mean, I think for someone to choose to be plant-based takes a different kind of heart for the most part. Yeah.
It's true. It's that whole compassionate living, right? In all areas
Mhm.
of your life. That once you focus on compassion for yourself and your body, or compassion for animals or the earth,
Yeah.
through a plant-based diet, then it's like you start to see um other people differently. And I swear to you that I have become, like, not that I was ever like a monster, but
Uh-huh.
gentler and more
Yeah.
empathetic the
Yes.
longer I've been on this journey, between the like uh care for, and empathy for animals, to the
Mm-hmm.
like care and empathy for people as you watch them struggle through their health
Mm-hmm.
journey to come out on the other side. I think it
Yeah.
really does kind of um bring together people who want the best for themselves and other people.
Yes, yes. And I typically wouldn't say these kinds of things on like any podcast, but I know this is like our safe space, you know? Um, but like truly like angels, like some of the people I've met, some of the plant-based doctors and people in the NHA angels, like I just haven't it's so it just boggles my mind how I can meet people who are so like lovely. Um, and yeah, especially this movement, I think it's both like a chicken and the egg thing, where the person who chooses to live this way tends to already be by default more generous, more altruistic. But also, as you just mentioned, Steph, by living this lifestyle, you become more conscious of your decisions. I mean, for me, before going whole food plant-based, I didn't read any ingredient lists. I didn't really care what any of my products were like made out of. But once I started, doing the whole like what's this made out? What's this made of? And you start to realize that there's a Steve Jobs quote. I think it was Steve Jobs. He said that something like eventually you realize that the people who made the world are no smarter than you. Like the people who made the world it currently is are not necessarily smarter than us. And then you start to realize, oh, like it's not a healthcare system, it's a sick care system. This and once you question everything, I think I just feel like a more without sounding too woo woo, hopefully, I just feel like a more awake version of
Hmm.
myself than I was before.
Yeah.
And because of that, yeah, I can be a lot more mindful about my choices versus I think most of my peers who are not living in this way, they're more like they're just eating whatever is served to them and they're not thinking as much about the sources and the impacts of things they do. So it's just like a different way of living, and I hope that I can continue to gently nudge them toward this side. Yeah.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, definitely. And I don't think it's woo woo at all. In fact, I'm going to go deeper.
Yes.
My personal conspiracy theory,
Yes.
based on years now of just experience, but
Uh-huh.
I think it's a lack of cortisol from
Oh.
being
From what the
vegan.
from what you're eating. Oh.
Because like I initially was I went vegan I did junk food vegan, but I was
Uh-huh.
it's healthy.
Yeah.
um, just because like I don't know, I just there's something about meat I couldn't do it anymore, and I think like after that point, I just
Hmm.
there was like a release of guilt
Yeah.
after I just went like fully plant based, and I was
Yeah.
like, that's weird. I feel like if I tell people that,
Uh-huh.
they're gonna think that I'm just strange. I'm like, it was just a noticeable like I just was living a better life. I had like this guilt like lifted off my shoulders.
Right.
And I think it was the documentary They're Trying to Kill Us
Uh-huh.
is when it clicked because they were talking about cortisol and how animals are slaughtered and how they're treated and the buildup
Uh-huh.
of cortisol. And it gave me a scientific way to explain my woo woo.
Wait, that makes so much sense. Like, thank you so much for sharing that, Justin. It's reminding me how people have told me how, animal products are so pumped up with growth hormones and antibiotics and all this stuff. Like, of course, it also makes me think back to the times when I was forced to eat a very heavy animal product diet. And I felt like irritated all the time. I don't know how else to put it. I was just like not in a good mental state. I just felt angry, you know? Um, and I think there's always this cognitive dissonance I had when eating animal products. Like, hey, this is weird. Like, why do people have pets, but like, and those pets you can't eat, but we eat chickens and whatever. It's always like unresolved in my mind when I was eating animal products. But yeah, now that I'm living this kind of way, yeah, I just don't have that kind of like guilt or that questioning of like, oh, I wonder what this animal went through to be on my plate now. And yeah, the food is just it's not as heavy. I think that's the main thing. I just felt so heavy when I was on that animal stuff before. And I
Yeah.
suppose now you add the layer of you're also metaphorically heavy with the guilt. Yeah.
Right.
Hmm. And
Gotcha.
it has to affect people.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder what would happen if just for like, I don't know, a month, could we get a week? Could we get the world to eat a little more this way? And what would happen like some people will go their whole lives and they'll never eat this way because that's not how they're raised and they're never exposed to information. And you just wonder how much more like peaceful or happier could they possibly have been, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
Hmm.
yeah, I think back to when I was an omnivore. I think I was just a lot more like also bloated and inflamed in general.
Yep.
I think inflammation, like animal products, cause so much of that, and I can't imagine how I don't know. I would probably not be doing any aerials or any stuff if I was on animal products still. I'd probably feel too icky.
It's true. And, Angela Crawford, I'm not sure if you've ever met her, but she's a
Mhm,
lovely author. She
mhm,
wrote The Vegan Transformation, and she's also a therapist, a psychologist. And
mhm.
her book is about how the mental, emotional, and spiritual impact of
Yeah,
being plant-based, and that
yeah,
it's not just our bodies that,
yeah.
or like our physical experience that changes when we become vegan or plant-based or whatever. It's also
Mhm.
our mental, emotional, and spiritual experience. And some of that's because we're now living in line with values that we didn't even know we necessarily had, or we knew were like
Yeah.
there, but we didn't know how to like reach them. And
Mhm.
my mental health has been one of the biggest things that has
Yeah.
improved over this journey of becoming whole food, plant-based, SOS free,
Mhm.
uh, and in ways that I never imagined. That's not why I started doing this.
Right.
It was about my physical health, and
Uh-huh.
but my mental and emotional health and spiritual health has become like probably the best, and I'm more authentic than I felt the other way.
I
Um
love that.
yeah, so it's interesting to think of it on that level too.
Yeah. Like I only knew you, after your change. So before that, people who knew you from like before and after, did they have they remarked to you they noticed a difference in like your vibe?
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. They can tell that I have a lot more energy and I'm healthier, and the ones that can get past the fact that I'm not eating like oil and sugar, it's sometimes they get stuck there. But overall, the idea that yeah, I have more energy and vitality, that I'm passionate and I'm in line with my values, that like it all kind of clicks and makes sense to them, like knowing who I was and kind of who I wanted to be back then, and that I've kind of, the puzzle pieces have clicked into place now.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So, what else is on the horizon for you? So you're at Viva Longevity. Are there other things you're doing that we should keep an eye on, or the people in our circle should know about?
Oh, okay. Man, I always have a bunch of irons in the fire.
I know, that's why
Yeah.
I'm asking, because I'm like, there's got to be more.
Yeah. Okay. So Viva Longevity is the main thing. So anyone listening, please check out our channel and subscribe. It's we're not we don't advocate, we're not like the NHA in that we don't explicitly advocate like SOS free and whole food plant based, but in general the message is like eat more plants, which I think is very beneficial. And part of the reason we do that is because most research has shown that you can actually accomplish more by getting people to eat more flexitarian and more plant-based rather than get people to like convert whole on vegan, because realistically most people aren't going to go all the way there. um so it was actually very tough. Our channel used to be called Plant Chompers, so it was like far more explicitly plant-based, and then we had to change it to Viva Longevity. So we had to generalize the message, but in the end, it just will hopefully attract more people and get more people to eat more plants and save more animals in the end. So there's that. Another thing is, so through the channel, one of the videos I was sent to cover the conference of this weird biohacker guy named Brian Johnson. I was like, what is going on? Like he just gave me like all these weird vibes, just like from the media press about him. But the summit was a great experience, and through that I got connected with this whole group dedicated to longevity, more from like a tech angle. So the people here, it's called like the Don't Die movement. That's Brian Johnson's little tagline. But the people here, they they're more focused on, yeah, like using technology to quantify yourself and frequent biometric testing in order to optimize your variables and live longer. And Brian Johnson himself is vegan, which I respect immensely. And uh, that group, so I helped co-found the San Francisco Don't Die chapter club, where we do stuff together like those high rocks competitions and all these athletic things. And that's just been such a great experience. Again, to meet more people who are not necessarily in the whole food plant-based world, but who maybe could be, and try to influence people outside of my bubble. Because honestly, part of the reason that I left True North was because I realized that the only people I was seeing were people who already got the message. The people who already were there, had like bought into it, invested their time and money to be there. And during lectures, I felt like I was just preaching to the choir. Um, so I actually really do love getting involved with groups like this, like Don't Die biohacking group, or Viva Longevity even, which are not explicitly in the whole food plant-based world, because our world is so, so, so small and insular, and we can only get more people in it if we branch out and like, find others. So yeah, that group is something which has helped also broaden my horizons when it comes to longevity. I think the NHA in general, we have very like, holistic healing and traditional roots, which is awesome. And I've kind of realized that we actually can do more to augment it with technology. For example, just by wearing like an Apple Watch or a Whoop and tracking your metrics that way. That can actually be really, really useful. And they also preach like, you know, the pillars of lifestyle medicine, which is diet, sleep, and exercise. I think that's just like, non-negotiable. And it's really nice to find that other people have the same principles too, even though they might not even eat the same way. Let's see, what else am I working on? I think that's actually the main stuff I can talk about, maybe. Yeah, there's some stuff I don't know if I can talk about publicly, but those are the main things. And I always just remain excited about what could be on the horizon and what else could happen. I a while ago, me and my friends actually tried to open up our own like whole food plant-based SOS free fasting clinic in Guatemala. That was like a whole adventure. And we eventually closed it down. But that was also like another really wild, incredible learning experience. And I just love like building things, talking to new people, and learning more about the world. I always joke to people that I mean, I think it's a joke, maybe it's not really, but I tell them that like, hey, maybe I'll go carnivore tomorrow. Like, I'm not saying I have any intention to. I certainly don't see that happening, but I always try to just remain kind of open-minded to what could be. Because I think actually, one of the biggest shifts in my understanding of whole food plant-based was when I was listening to Dr. Doug Lala talk, and he mentioned how a lot of people on this diet actually are eating like too low caloric density. Like a lot of this diet really, a lot of people go for like high volume, and I suffered this too, but like I was always overstuffed and I was still hungry, and I'm like, what's going on? And Dr. Lau kind of helped me understand these past few years that not everyone can necessarily eat like the chef AJ way, you know? Like not everyone can eat pounds and pounds of food and feel very comfortable. And sometimes like some of us should be eating like more not totally processed, but like slightly more processed, like more pasta, more white rice instead of brown rice, stuff like that, just to increase the caloric density and decrease the amount of volume we're eating and the amount of fiber because we're already getting like way more fiber than we need. Um, to become more comfortable and healthy. So I think our movement really benefits when we continue being open to, exploring like what really is healthy for us and recognizing that even within like the whole food plant-based space, there's room for nuance and like room for different ways of eating. Some people are big volume eaters, some people can eat more processed and be okay. And we're all just like in our different bodies, different metabolisms trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I think that's such a great point. And I know that like protein, for instance, we
Mm-hmm.
de-emphasize protein, and rightfully so, because we
Mm-hmm.
everyone eats too much protein. But I have found, as a woman in her 40s and
Yeah.
someone, who has looked at fertility over my lifetime, etc., that like protein really does have something to do with that. And especially
Yes.
when you're over 40, you do have to pay more attention to that. And if you want to do things like be strong and do strength
Mm-hmm.
training like you do, that we do have to pay attention to that. Sometimes I can't de-emphasize it as much as I did when I first started whole food plant-based,
Right.
because I need to, my muscles and the rest, my hormones, etc., need a certain level of different macros in order to function properly. And so making space, I'm not like a proteinaholic by any means,
Right.
but making space for that nuance too, because I think just like you said, everybody is a little different. So
Mm-hmm.
making space for each individual need is important.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you shared that because sometimes I do feel like there's a bit of a monoculture in the vegan space where it's like, I think especially in the vegan world, it's very much like high carb, low fat. Like that's the way to eat. And I was following that. I still follow that, but like I think I was following that a bit to an extreme for me. As in I really cut out like all nuts and all fat and it was just like my hormones, it really got wrecked that way.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's not because the world is also so most people come to this world the health world for weight loss. I don't think it's necessarily talked about enough. Like, hey, the way you're eating for weight loss might not be the way you should be eating for the rest of your life in a sustainable way. Like,
Mhm.
I think there could be more room for conversations about like, hey, we could have more moderate amounts of fat, or maybe some people, yeah, do best on this diet if they're like higher protein, higher fat, lower carb. It's all of these iterations should be welcome. And I'm even like I know this has caused a whole like online kerfluffle with all this like pro oil talk. Um, and I know it's been kind of dispiriting to see some people, seem to turn their back on values of being against oil for years and years. But I will say that I'm grateful that we live in an era where these conversations can happen and that, people are still looking critically at the research and and not just like blindly following one path. So I think it's great we're having discussions like, hey, is there, for some people, is there room for oil in their diets? Is this still okay? And I just hope that we can continue to be like, nice in our discussions and all the discourse, because that's our strength, our diversity of thought.
Yeah.
Well said.
Very well said. Well, thank you, Michelle. We could keep talking to you for another hour, you know that, but
I know that we could keep going forever, but yeah,
we should probably wrap it up. But
well, just real quick, I just was like wondering if there's like a for you yourself, a busy woman doing with lots of iron in the fire. Is there like a kind of a go-to or quick type of meal that you prepare for yourself?
you know, I I'm like the laziest chef in the whole entire world. So my go-to is just like raw veggies and fruit. I don't even have to prepare anything. I just wash it and I bite it. I don't even cut it. I'm so lazy. So there's that. But if I actually had to cook something, I'm basically married to my Instant Pot, so I could just whip up whatever in it. And I love I know microwaves are kind of contentious, but if I'm looking for convenience and speed, there's nothing like just chopping up some sweet potatoes and just pop it in the microwave. It's so amazing. I've had many meals of just like sliced sweet potatoes just sitting in front of a laptop. It's so cozy. It's like my comfort. It's my comfort food. So yeah, all those are great things for me.
We've got sweet potatoes for dinner tonight, and
Oh,
I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
you can never go wrong. Do you have a favorite type of sweet potato?
Japanese sweet potatoes,
Which one, like the white ones or the purple ones?
white ones.
Oh, oh my
Yeah.
God. Yeah, those are addicting to me. It's funny. When I was interviewed by Chef AJ maybe like 4 years ago, she asked me if I had a favorite. And I said like, I do. They're like the Hana ones, which are kind of like, basically the Japanese ones. And she said those are her favorite. And 4 years ago and now I have the same response to that, which is that those are addicting for me. Those are very dangerous for me. And I cannot stop eating those. They're so good.
They are. I cannot believe I went almost 40 years of my life without knowing they existed, and the world is a sad place without them. So
Oh my
literal
God.
sad place. And now I'm psyched to have them in my life. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. They could if we could just give every carnivore one of those, they could change their minds. Like it's actually these could create world peace. Like this is our solution. You said, Justin, you said we're gonna solve it today. We solved it today. Give everybody.
Yes.
Totally agree.
Yeah. God, we're so brilliant.
Obviously.
Oh, Michelle, you're the best.
Aw.
We just enjoy hanging out with you so much.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know. I know because because of geographic distance, we don't talk as often. But if we lived in the same community, I swear I would just be like, God, yeah, we would just be like next door, like all the time doing stuff nonstop. You guys are just like the best people, and I could also talk to you all day.
Oh.
Thank you. And I guess, we can move to California.
Yep. After our son graduates, that's where we're headed.
No, bring Ace with you too, please. He's welcome here. Tell him the weather is really nice here, but it just doesn't snow as much. If you like snow, I'm sorry.
He'll survive.
It'll be all right.
Well,
Thank you,
awesome.
Michelle.
Yeah, thank you so much.
But thank you. It was so good to talk to you. You're the best. You really are.
Thank you for joining us on the NHA Today podcast. Subscribe and follow the National Health Association on YouTube and social media for the latest in plant-based science and healthy lifestyle support. For more resources, articles, and information about our membership and conference, visit healthscience.org. Until next time, here's to your plant-powered health.